Welcome to the Living Centred podcast, a podcast all about learning together how to live lives which are centred on Jesus. Everyone lives centred on something. Our goal is to learn together how every area of our lives, everything about who we are and how we live, can be increasingly oriented around Jesus and transformed by Jesus. He invites us to a rich and satisfying life, where the good news that he truly is enough changes everything about how we relate to God, ourselves, and the world. In each episode, a different person shares about what it's looking like for them to seek to centre their life on Jesus right now. As we hear their stories, we get to learn together and to encourage one another in what it means for Jesus to be at the centre of our lives. This is a journey we are all invited to, and a conversation we all get to be a part of. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, my name is Adrian, and it is so good to welcome you to this week's episode of the Living Centred podcast. And today sees us do things slightly differently, as one of the things I promised for season 2 is that we would look to revisit with some of the people we had conversations with in the past. And today I get the privilege of introducing Paul, who I'm going to be speaking to. Paul, it's good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Now, Paul, you are one of the first people that I recorded a podcast with back in December 2023, and then it came out in February 2024. And so it felt like, this would be a good moment to revisit. What I also remember is in that podcast, you actually said, wouldn't it be fun? Maybe you didn't use the word fun, but you said, wouldn't it be good to kind of do this conversation again in 12 months? Well, it's a bit longer than 12 months, but it is good nonetheless to start again another conversation.
It is. And it's interesting because I remembered that I said it'd be good to see what would be happening when you speak to me again and whether I'm still doing the things I said I'd be doing. And I have to say, I did think about trying to put you off for 6 months, do some prayer and fasting and really just, really get into getting close to God before we had this. But you know what? It's just what it is, what it is.
It is exactly that. And I think that's the beauty of this, is we're not trying to dress up something to pretend that we're living away. We're actually saying, no, we're coming and expressing the reality of how we're each seeking to live in the reality of our lives more centered on Jesus. That's it. So I'm looking forward to just having another conversation with you about it. But just in case people didn't get to hear the first time we spoke, can you just start by telling us a little bit about who you are?
So I'm Paul, been with Oasis for about 23 years, I think it is now. I work in pollution control in local authority. I'm a father. I have a daughter that now lives in Italy.
Yeah, amazing. That kind of is who you are. Then the next thing I want to ask is, then what's life looking like at this point in time?
Before I get into some specifics, I wanted to talk about what life is looking like in my room at the moment, with the setup that we've got at the moment. Because the last time you interviewed me, it was with a phone.
It really was.
And I wish there was a camera in here so that everybody's listening could see what we've got here now. But it does feel like I'm on Radio 1 and the big massive microphones with you and your headphones on. Although you've not put them on now, so I don't know when you put them on, but when you do that looks, it does feel like Radio 1 when you do that.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, so, or should it be Radio 5 Live? I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, I think more and more. I think I'm more Radio 4.
Yeah, Radio. So yeah, high tech. But anyway, so yeah, how does life look? So if I'm honest, it's a bit stressful in terms of what's happening at work. There's like a heavy workload, lots of complicated cases. So it means that within my work area, there's a lot of pressure. Family life is also very busy. Me and my sister have got elder members of our family that are struggling. So there's a lot of rushing around at the moment, helping those and getting them to, I think, stabilise is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And there's also, if I'm honest, a lot of disappointment because there's been prayer over the years to see my family, particularly the elder members of my family, to see some healing there. And it's not happened. But what I would say is that there's been some good things as well as some bad things. So I've not seen much healing and I've not seen much salvation, but there's an uncle of mine who's died recently, just a few weeks ago, who had paranoid schizophrenia before he died. So he did have a very difficult life. And it's not until we spoke to the carers, carers that used to look after him years ago that no longer look after him, came to the bedside to be with him because they loved him. And they were explaining all the funny stories about what was happening when they interacted with him in the care home. So it was nice to be able to, because my mum was very upset about it. She said, look, he didn't have a very good life and now he's died. And I said, well, yes, but there was a lot of joy within the sadness.
Yeah.
And that was clear. And also, after reading his letter of wishes, it's just clear to me that I think he was saved.
Wow.
Which then I was praying for salvation. I'm thinking, he's not saved.
Amazing.
And I just think he was.
Yeah.
So it is. So that I think in terms of what things look like, there is disappointment, and it is, life isn't going in the direction I thought it was going in. But yeah, that's where we're at. I think that's where we're at.
It's really helpful, Paul. And I love just having known you for years. I know that as soon as you're going to share it, there's just going to be reality. You're not going to dress it up. You're going to say, yep, work's pretty full. Life outside of work is pretty full of caring for elderly members of family, of looking at it, of seeing how do I then live where I'm kind of wrestling with disappointment on different things. And that's just really helpful to see, of just think, yep, life feels really full with big challenges.
Yeah.
I guess in it then, what's helping you?
So it's funny because you've got a number of different questions you've asked me, and some of this actually is going to cross into what I've been discovering.
Yeah.
I think in terms of practical stuff that's helped me on a daily basis, and I will go through the list of things that I was doing before and what I am doing and not doing now. But the two things I have kept on with is meditating every morning on the Word and reading the Word for today. And I found that two very quick things I can do that are helpful. And I'll talk about it a bit later, but you don't get as much out of those things if you don't pray regularly, sort of thing. But I've held on to those two things. That's what I found helpful.
It's really good. And I think one of the things you'd said is when we last had the conversation was actually that thing of the Word for today and the meditating on truth. And you said, if we have this conversation in 12 months, whether I'm still doing this. Well, I think,
I'm doing those two. But as you see, there was a long list of other stuff I was doing.
Let's start. Let's take some courage from there, which I think is good. Yeah. And just actually you saying, what is it that's helping as I live with a life that's full, a life with challenges of caring for others, and also moments of disappointment, is actually just coming and just knowing the moment still of meditating on the Word, allowing that truth to sink in. That's good. It's really good. Yeah. I guess then, since we had our last conversation, this is a big one. It's what have you been discovering?
Right. Okay. So I said work is stressful. It is stressful. Last week or so has been stressful, but I'm used to it being stressful week on week, month on month, year on year. Yeah. This has been like a snapshot a week. Wasn't like this 2 or 3 weeks ago. Just wasn't like this at work.
Yeah.
I think I just want to give a picture of what my life was like at work. So the role that I did previously involved me spanning a number of different disciplines.
Yeah.
And I would have to argue with people, specialists in each of the disciplines.
Yeah.
So it wasn't unusual for a contaminated land consultant to ring me up. And I've not done a degree or a master's degree in contaminated land, but often as a minimum, they'd have done a degree in contaminated land. And they've said, you've looked at this report that we did for our clients. You've made some criticisms. We disagree with you. And so you had that argument. You put the phone down. For the same project, the air quality consultant would ring up, who would also have a degree in air quality, or often a degree in physics and then a PhD in air quality. Wow. And then say, you looked at my report and you criticised it. We disagree with the criticisms you've made, and so I'd have an argument with them.
Yeah.
And then the phone would go, well, those were the days when you had a phone on the desk, by the way. The phone would go and he'd be an acoustic consultant that also had either a degree in physics and a master's degree in acoustics, or a degree in acoustics. And I haven't got one of those. And he'd be arguing with me saying, well, I disagree with what you're saying about our report. We think you're treating our clients unfairly. And then a solicitor or a barrister would come on the phone. Right, so it was challenging, but it was really rewarding. But it could be really stressful if you had a heavy workload.
Yeah.
Now, the point I'm making is that Now I've transitioned where I only do one area. I only do acoustics. I don't do all of that other stuff anymore. So it is less stressful in that respect. And I did say that life has been stressful. It's only been for about a week or two. But because it's been less stressful, I think I've been relying on God less, you see.
Yeah.
I think those times have been under an awful lot of pressure is when I saw the most fruit.
Wow.
So if we just look at this list now, when you interviewed me, that's kind of what life was like.
Yeah.
I talked about standing on the word and that being very important and recalibrating. I've just remembered recalibrating every morning and working out what it was that I was standing on. And if it wasn't the word, to recalibrate on it. I was always looking for the next thing. You know, what's the next thing that God's got for me? What should I be doing? What's that? I've still got that. So the one before I'm not doing, but this one, the next thing I'm doing, then pause. Yeah, I do pause every morning and meditate, but I don't do it constantly throughout the day like I did the last time you spoke to me.
Yeah.
And then meditating on the word, I do that, but I don't do it through the day like I did last time. And then I think I learned that in the workplace, I could have two modes. I'd be very forceful if I very firmly believed that we should be going in a particular direction, or I'd be very weak and fearful if somebody more forceful than me was in the mix. And I felt that God just doesn't want me to be like that. He just wants me just to approach a situation without being forceful and without being fearful, and just take that middle road of being balanced whenever you're in that sort of situation.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
And in it, one is be kind to yourself. It's rather than hold it up as a list of a meter rule of like, I'm just not doing this, I am doing this. You're not doing this, I am doing this. I think we need to be kind. But I think your observation at the start, often those moments of pressure, we find ourselves forced to rely on God.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you can find, the pressure isn't there. Oh, am I relying on you as much as I did?
Yeah.
And I think that's such a helpful observation.
Yeah.
Of saying, I know I can find that, of just, actually, God, I need to get back. I do want you to be involved in everything. Not because I'm just needing desperation out of desperation at this moment, but just because I know life is just really good with you.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
And I think what I love also is just that though you're hard to say, it's not as much through the day, but it's still there. There's still these rhythms that you have in your life that just allow you to just keep God at the very center. That you're like, I just need to keep pausing each day.
Yeah.
Keep allowing the truth to be there. Allowing prayers to be prayed. It's really good.
And, for those people that are really struggling in their lives, it may be that they're actually growing more than they actually realise.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it because everything's so tough.
Yeah.
But that just could well be what's going on.
Yeah. That's helpful. Really helpful. We'll then jump to the last question then, which is the one about, how you're changing.
So there's two that one mixes into the other, what you've discovered and how you're changing. Sort of thing. One way I am changing is that other people around me might not think this, but I don't think I worry as much. So one thing I can think of that happened where normally I'd worry a great deal. I thought, I'm just not going to worry about this. I'm just not going to do that. So that's something that was important, an important change. And then there was a bit of a discovery in that I just think that God can use a grain of faith and very much a grain of prayer to make things happen. And so something started to happen around me, and I'm starting to think, hang on a minute, God, is that what you were talking to me through a prophetic word 20 years ago? So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, right, is that what's going on? Because if it is, then I've already admitted that my prayer life hasn't been as strong as it could be. But just a grain of prayer is all that God needs to start to make something move. And so I think the other thing that I realised is that at that point, I'm sort of looking at the situation, I'm thinking I might take a change in the direction of my life here, but it might mean that I have an issue with finances, and we have to be wise with these things. But we also have to make sure that we don't have fear masquerading as wisdom. So like you think, oh, I'm being wise about this, but actually
Yeah,
you're
it's
just
really
being
good.
fearful. I thought about that actually, Adrian. It wasn't you. It was me. It was my idea about. So just for the listeners, it was Adrian that said that, but he can't remember.
I don't remember ever saying that.
So I'm taking that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of what I've discovered and how I'm changing, I think.
Oh, that's really good, Paul. What I love is just, as I said, just your reality of like, yep, this is it. I'm not going to dress it up.
Yeah.
It's just this. But in it is this deep, profound desire in you to say, yep, but God, I want in with you. I want you to be part of my life. I want in with where you want me to be.
Yeah.
And even just hearing you say about, how you're changing is just, if that means that there's deeper work in terms of letting go and saying, God, I'm not going to be fearful here.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust you. And also realize that actually you can take the grain of my prayer and do something because it was never about me. It was always about you, God.
Yeah.
Isn't that like really releasing?
Yeah.
It's so releasing. Paul, man, thanks as always for sharing.
Pleasure.
As I often say, my heart is well and truly full. That's because it is. Doing these conversations, it just does me the world of good. I think in just the beauty and honesty that you've shared, I think there's a couple of things I want to reflect on. Is one, at the moments where it doesn't feel like there's the pressure, is God, am I still inviting you in? I want to consider that. And I think that other part of God, my dependence on you and you working isn't dependent on the amount of prayer that I'm putting in or what I'm doing. It's always about who you are.
But that's not an advert not to pray, though.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
It's that confidence of, God, I'm coming before one who is able. And that's where my confidence lies. And I think, that feels like a good thing to be resting in. I think at the moment I'm just wanting to pray more. And I think, it's praying, but remembering who I'm praying to. That's good. How about you, my listening friends? What are you going to consider a little bit more about something that Paul has shared through this podcast? Otherwise, I want to thank you for listening. And I want to finish by praying for each and every one of us. I pray that we would know more of the wonder of living centered on Jesus this coming week. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of the Living Centred podcast. New episodes are released every Monday, and if you enjoyed this episode, please do like and subscribe on your chosen podcast provider to receive them direct each week. Living Centred is produced by the team at Oasis Church in Birmingham, UK, and you can find out more and get in touch with the team via theoasischurch.com.